let's have a short recap about the agenda. I'm going to introduce our company. We look into the analytics and how the table structure of SAP HANA is working, what queries are doing, some bad examples about queries. I have some really nice ones. And of course, I'm going to show you in a live environment, or not in a live, in a demo environment, how to create a proper query and reportings on SAP HANA. Short introduction about the team. Currently, also here in the room with me together is Christina. She is our sales rep for Europe, together with me, and Tai, our new hire from last month. Then also we have Jose Luis and Marco coming from our Mexican office, and Miguel Barrientos from our Peruvian office, and Gabi is our team member for everything around marketing. Short recap about iSystems. I founded iSystems in 2001 as a network and IT company. Came to B1 to the B1 world in 2006. Did the first implementation. Back in time, it was SAP 2005. HANA was not in place at this point. Got my certification 27. Came somehow to SAP HANA. In 2017, we opened the office in the US, then followed by Peru and Mexico. Short thing, I would like to ask you to mute your microphone if you're not actively speaking, so we do not have anyone else talking here. Thank you. iSystems is an infrastructure provider. We have several locations. This picture here is not updated yet. Mexico is missing. We have our offices in Germany, Peru, Florida, California. It's only a tiny outpost, and meanwhile, Guadalajara in Mexico. Our main focus are SMB enterprises and also large enterprises. We are hosting S4 as well. Currently, we are operating 5 data centers around the world. What we do in IT solutions is everything around hosted and on-prem infrastructure for ERP systems. It doesn't matter if it's a hybrid environment, co-located environment, and so on. And our focus is definitely on SAP and solutions. Gabi, can you please mute the other people who are joining and not muted? Thank you. Besides this, one of our focus is also disaster recovery. And this includes everything around ransomware, offsite backup, and cybersecurity. This also means we are not only helping people with hosting the SAP system, we try to make the environment a little bit more safe in order to prevent ransomware attacks. And now, after everything is a little bit introduced, let's go into the details. So SAP HANA, and most of us are working with SAP HANA for a longer time, perhaps don't really understand the nature. Can you please mute yourself, Angelo? Thank you. Most of the people don't really recognize that HANA has 2 kinds of table structures. One is a standard table. We know all this kind of table from Microsoft SQL, where you have everything stored in rows. So a column is a type and a row is a data record. And in SAP HANA, it's another option. You can store the information in a column, not in a row. And therefore, SAP HANA comes up, or it's not only applicable to SAP HANA, it's also applicable to other in-memory technologies coming, for example, from Oracle. There is this row store comes along with compression of the data. And you see this here, that the system has repeating values, like in the category. You have sport, housing. And what SAP is doing in the background is creating a vector and attributes for those vectors. And those vectors are stored separately. This means for this part here with sport, it is compressed to one sport. And then in the background, it says, okay, I have this 2 times after each other. So I have sport, same for housing. It's compressed. Instead of writing housing 2 times, we only have housing 1 time. With the information, it's 2 times behind each other. So everything gets compressed into the database, into those table structures. And this creates a higher load, or a better usage of the space of the tables itself. Furthermore, it allows me to create cubes. And those data cubes are technically, how is the best way to describe this? Is technically the overlay of 2 of those column stores, for example. So I have, it's really hard to explain. I will show this later on in the HANA Studio, where we dive into the really practicing. But to understand what's going on, we have row stored column tables, which are the standard tables coming from SQL, and we have the column stored tables. And if you see what's going on here, from memory, I have a higher memory consumption, but transactions for the row stored table are much faster, like an update, an insert, etc. And the moment I want to run a report, the analytics over those row stored table, this is way slower, because I have not the possibility to create those cubes. And then you have the column stored table, where the memory consumption is lower, but the transactions are much, also the transactions are much slower. But therefore, everything I do here with my queries, with my analytics functions, is much faster. The problem behind this is that a lot of people are using those row stored table to run enormous queries. And this is one of the biggest mistakes you can do while using SAP HANA. So you're writing a query, and this query might be 30, 40 lines long. You have subqueries, you have joins in there. Perhaps you create even procedures or functions. And because everything needs to be read from those row stored table, it's not compressed. You do not have this indexing system. You don't have a vector. It's the query is executed very slow. That's the reason why we want to transform our row stored table into column stored table, to make this more efficient. And customers or partners who are facing problems with reports, who are facing problems with, for example, user-defined queries, should consider to transform those queries into row stored functions, row stored tables. To give you an example, what not to do inside SAP HANA, I have these 2 examples here. This is an example coming from a US partner. And you see this query is 1015 lines long and is being executed each and every time you're opening an order. This is a user-defined field or a user-defined query executed automatically every time you enter, I think, an order. And the customer was complaining that this order, the order recording for the people who are sitting at data entry takes forever, because each and every time somebody opens an order, this query is executed. And of course, that's not the right way to do it. We have here another example where somebody tries to run a standard procedure, because you see here the declare of different variables in the very beginning, which is not working in a standard query in SAP HANA. So this is a standard procedure, and this procedure was executed also with recording an order automatically. Every time somebody entered a new item code, this this procedure was executed. And just this part here took forever. What you want to do is to transform those procedures and those queries here into cubes and read them from in-memory functions. And this is how to do it better. This is how to build a semantic layer in SAP HANA. And let's dive into this topic and see what is behind the curtain, behind SAP HANA, and why is it better to do it in another way. So I have here a demo system prepared for this presentation. And hopefully all of you know SAP HANA and the HANA Studio. And if we expand this one, this is a standard preview here. So let's have a look here into the SBO demo US company. We have our tables here. And the first thing I want to mention, if you look into these tables here, you'll see these little table symbols here. And this symbol here indicates we're seeing here row store tables. Coming back, this is a standard SQL table. So most of the table we have in SAP Business One are row store table. So let's have a look into our object table, like OITM or OINV. Let's go into OINV for our invoices. You see, this symbol here indicates it's a standard row store table. There is nothing stored in column. This means this table is never in memory. If you query this table, you have a slow execution of this query. Let's go back here. And the other option you have inside, you see those tables here. It looks a little bit different, this little symbol here. And this indicates a column stored table. And now if you go through your HANA Studio and look for column stored tables, it's not that much. You have a few of them. This means most of the system from SAP Business One is not in memory. You need to make it in memory. You need to start using the in-memory functionality for your reporting to accelerate the customer's system. Because if you keep using the same queries you have on SQL and just transform them into HANA syntax, you don't use the in-memory. This is like having a Ferrari and just driving in the first gear. You will never accelerate over 50 miles per hour. It's impossible if you don't use the right structure. So how are we going to do this? Number one, we need to get into this function, into the context section of the system. And if we expand this, you see here the SBO demo database. And let's have a look here into the database information here. There are way more databases on this. And if you look here, there's only the SBO demo and SBO US and another one where we did some development for. How do you get all the other databases in there? That's quite easy. In the moment you enable the databases inside the system landscape directory, those databases will show up. I have no idea what the server name is. mgb1std01. mgb1std01. So we need to log in into the enablement. Pick the database we want to enable being in memory. So let's take this one here, for example, and initialize this database. In this moment, all the row store table, column store table I indicated in the HANA Studio where do we have those? Like this one here, is loaded into the memory. And also the HANA models, which are behind this one, are loaded into the memory. So if we collapse this one and go in here, you see here different models which are being loaded into the memory. And those queries and those functions you see here are technically the functions which are creating the dashboards in the background or are being used for the Excel reporting. I don't think we have Excel on here. No, we don't have Excel on here. But the function behind this one is one of the things in here. So what we want to do is we want to have this queries and this functionalities, this view here. We want to have a customized one. And this is how we make sure our queries and everything is in memory and executed much faster than doing a standard report. So first requirement is you need to load the database or the schema into the memory. That's number one. As we have this one here, let's say I want to have a new procedure. Sorry, I need to change the way SAP HANA Studio is working. Currently, this view here is the administrator view. I can do backups. I can create, you see here, all this stuff here. I can create backups. I can configure my system and so on. But I cannot start my programming. And I want to do programming. For standard queries, it's quite simple. I can just go in here, hit the SQL button and write like select asterisk from O and B. Super simple, of course. This is working, and I get my results. But this is not what we want to do. We want to create a new in-memory function. Therefore, we go into the studio, go to Window, go to Perspective, open Perspective, and activate the SAP HANA Development Perspective. And you see then the view looks a little bit different, especially from the tabs I get up here. So I still have my system view. I can create projects here, which is another topic. And I have my repositories. And the repositories are the point where I need to start working. I'm already logged in. Let me log off. So we start from a spreadsheet here. Let's reset this one. Yes. So I'm gonna log in here. Now I'm logged in. I still have my information here, and now I need to create a workspace. So I create a workspace from this one here, and this workspace root is somewhere on your drive. It looks quite similar, but without creating this workspace, you won't be able to create any kind of view or any kind of function. So let's close this one. Don't save it. We don't need it anymore. I go into SAP, and you see here, I have different schemas here. We want to work in the SPO demo US. And you see here all the different procedures, and those procedures are already in use by some parts of the system for reports. Again, if you have here like the AP invoice stuff for different cases, like aging, average, purchase analytics functions, those are already predefined, and you can alter those. Just go in here and alter the information. Just being warned, if you alter this one and you write it back to the system, you run an update, everything you did is gone because SAP overrides the standard reports automatically. So what you want to do if you have something like this and you want to alter a standard report, copy this and make your own. But we wanna create our own from scratch. So what I'm gonna do is right mouse click here, say new, and you see you have different kind of views. The problem here is the analytic and attribute view doesn't matter for SAP P1. So we don't care about those. We want to go into the calculation view. We have to give our calculation view a name. We call it webinar April 2024. Back in time, the naming convention was different. The naming convention was that everything needs to be a capital. There was a special ending for the words, otherwise it did not show up in SAP Business One. This has been changed, so name it whatever you want. I call it webinar April 2024. And also, I'm not a big fan of graphical stuff. I want to write an SQL script. So we do an SQL script here. Parameter case sensitive stays on true because SAP HANA is case sensitive. And if you put it on no, most of the stuff will not work correctly anymore. So let's keep it like this. Let's go to finish. And now I have my programming interface here where I can create my view and everything I want to do. So if I click on my script view, you see here my entire procedure where I can start programming. And everything consists at minimum of one thing. It's the variable out. And this var out is technically the output that is being sent to the system. To make it a little bit more clear, I can also have something let's call it var in or var in 1 and have var in 2. I can have several of those variables defined here. I just do one here. So I say select card code and doc total. Hang on, we wanna have an operator. No, we don't want an operator here. We make it like this: doc total from OINV. This is my input. Of course, this is very tiny. This has nothing to do with complicated queries. This is just an example. We have the select one here. That's my input into the procedure. And now I need to define my output from the procedure into the system. I do refer in this case also to card code. And now I'm summarizing my things here from the doc total. From my variable that went into the system. And we need to group it, of course, because we have a sum function. So we're going to group this by card code. And as we have a function with different things, we need a semicolon here. Another one. And let's check if, no, we need to define, yeah, we can check this one here. If the syntax is okay, it says the syntax is working, but I still need to define the output columns. And we have two output columns. We have the card code and we have the doc total. So you see here, the output currently is empty, and I want to define now my output columns. Number one is my card code. We put the card code on an varchar, and we make it 10 characters. And we have the doc total. And the doc total usually could go as a numeric, let's go with a numeric 10. No, this has no. We go with decimal. This allows me also to have the scale. So we have this one here. Those are our output columns. Card code doc total. Let's look into semantic. We have this one here. We have this one. This works. I need to attach this to my schema under semantics, view properties. Let's go into the SBO demo US. And I need to apply the right privileges. The SQL analytic privileges would work with S4 for HANA. We need to use the classic analytic privileges. So change it to classic, and let's have a look if everything is working. It says okay. Seems to be good. Let's scroll down. We have here our little function or little procedure, and now I can activate this. Let's see if I did any mistake. I did. So what did I do? Procedure. Syntax near group. This one, right? Again. Yeah, okay. The column needs to be in front of our variable. So now it's activated, and I can have a data preview. If you click on here, so we have our card code, we have our doc total, and now the system automatically sums up all the invoices for my card code. One thing being said, this is in the moment it's activated automatically in memory. This means if somebody adds a new invoice, those information here gets automatically altered and updated. So now I have it here in SAP under HANA. How are I going to use this in B1? It's quite simple because it shows up automatically if I go into my analytics function. If I go into my analytics function and say I want to have a new dashboard, under calculation view, you'll see I have my webinar here. I can say, yeah, I want to use this one here. I want to use my doc total. I want to use my card code, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense, but automatically I have my dashboard now here in HANA, in B1, and I can save it. So, webinar 2024. It's saved now. And as it's saved, of course, I can pull this dashboard. Let's search for this. I can have this dashboard now, of course, on my screen here. There it is. Of course, this doesn't make a lot of sense if you have a little query like this one here. It's built for large amount of queries or for a huge amount of data. If you have a query where you just query information from one or two tables with a join, it's not a big deal. It's really made for complicated things to keep the stuff in memory. If you just go ahead and query one table, the only thing you should not do is use an asterisk. Also, SAP HANA doesn't really like subqueries. So instead of using subqueries, you should create a view for this one here. And I'm talking about in-memory views. So this is number one, how it works. Now it goes one step further. You want to integrate this one here into a package that's being importable into customers' B1 environments. And therefore, SAP provides a packaging tool. Unfortunately, because SAP changed the knowledge base entries or the entire SAP portal, I wasn't able to find the right knowledge base entry to download this packaging tool. And I will send out an email after the meeting or after this webinar, how it's working. Technically, it's quite simple. You are here, you export everything. That's, sorry, it's not here. Export is under File, Export. You export your entire calculation view, and then you run the packaging tool from B1. It creates a zip file, and you can import the zip file into, where is it? System initialization. No, sorry. Into, I usually have it in German. That's my problem currently. Administration, web client, setup, general. And then is it under SAP HANA model management? And then you can import this one here. Again, I will send out the document from SAP, how you export and import this through the packaging tool. If you create those things in your environment, and I'm talking about those views and procedures here, if you create those, please make sure you use a packaging tool, because also this one will be altered in the moment you run an SAP update. Only if you import them through the packaging tool, it's consistent and persistent with the system. Okay. Where's my screen? That's the short introduction about how to create SAP HANA in-memory functions and use the semantic layer in SAP HANA for Business One. And I hope it gave you some input, some outlook how to do it. And again, I'm happy to get into details with you in a remote session on site and train you really deep how to use it, how to create complex views, combine those with procedures, in-memory procedures, and optimize queries and reports you have with your customers implemented to the system to improve the speed and system usage with Business One. And now, questions and answers. Does anyone have questions? Okay.
I have a question, Stephen. If we do
Yeah.
this kind of use in memory in HANA, we can reach them for other views to make things more complex, like in subqueries in
Yes.
traditional SQL.
Yes. Yes. What you can do is, let me jump back in here. What you can do, if you're here in the analytics and you see it, if I create a new dashboard, what SAP is doing in the background, it's querying the data from this schema here. The schema is underscore sys underscore big. And technically, that's the schema that's automatically or that's responsible for holding the information and data in the memory. So what I also can do, of course, I can go and query those data through a standard query. Hopefully I did not have a misspelling here. Did not do a misspelling? No. Okay. So I have my query, and you see I can just query this. Now, of course, I can go ahead and say inner join, OCRD. Let's make this here T0, T1, on T1 dot card code equals T0 dot card code. And I'm going to join here T1 dot card name and make this T0 dot asterisk. And I can combine in-memory information and standard information. I can also combine two in-memory functions. If I would have another one, I can combine those. Yes, that's possible. So everything you create here in HANA Studio, which is held in memory, it's technically just a view. You know views perhaps from standard Microsoft SQL. But the difference here from this view to a standard view is this view is updated automatically each and every time, while the views you have here in the catalog, and everyone knows, hopefully, those views, SBO, US, we have also those views down here, but those are standard views. This is not held in memory, nothing. This is executed in the moment you consume the view or you execute it manually. Like if I go in here and say, okay, open content, it selects the information from the view, but it doesn't say that those information here are up to date. So the difference between this view here and this view here is that view is held in memory, updated automatically. This view not. You can combine those. You can also combine like inside your inside this one here. I can also refer and say here var in 2 equals let's copy this one here over. And let's say I have here another view that is test 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this one here. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know what's in there. I think it's the same, similar thing. I could refer from select like doc num from. So I could refer inside my calculation view to another calculation view and pull the data instead of from standard tables from another calculation view to combine this. That's possible, Jose Luis, yes.
Thanks. We have another question.
Yeah, I see it. We have another. Which is the maximum data to show or storage in this view is calculated? Henry, this is quite simple. It depends on the amount of memory you have. Saying this, if you plan, I mean, I don't know any business one. I don't know any business one setup that stretched out the amount of memory driven by in-memory views. Most of the time, the system gets out of memory because people are using standard queries to pull the data. Because what's happening if you run a query, such a high load query, what the system is doing, it loads the information first into the memory, because SAP HANA is not loading the data into the result set from a query directly from the drive. Like if I would query this table here in a very complex way, I could create a memory out or memory over consumption easily. Or not easily, but it's possible, because everything in this table here is not held into memory, because in the moment I load or I query this table, the information is loaded into the memory. What I can do to prevent this is to unload the information I'm querying. I can do this manually through the HANA Studio. If you click on such a table, you'll see here load into memory, unload from memory. And this is very useful, especially if you have document management systems attached to SAP HANA, like CK Solution. We work a lot with them, and I talked to the development team and I asked them, hey guys, please make sure, because the information is inserted into the SAP HANA database, please make sure that you from time to time unload all the documents you are having in the system from the memory, because otherwise you're over consuming what you have and the system will crash. To answer your question, Henry, it is absolutely related to the amount of memory, and that's one of the reasons why a correct sizing for the system is essential for a stable operation. Do we have another question? Thank you. And the frequency to update the views. No, it's not, because if you have in-memory function, there is no update for a view. The view is altered automatically in the moment the base data are changed. There is no update for a view. The update for a view is only applicable for the standard views you have here, where you have to update the view to execute the view and update the data behind this one.
Stefan, we have more questions in the chat group.
I'm reading the chat, by the way. Or what chat are you talking about?
The webinar chat.
Yeah, no, I see Henry's question here. Do we have another? Jose Luis wrote something.
All right.
Do you see more than I do?
No.
No, serious question. Not joking.
No, not any more questions right now.
Okay. Again, if anyone has questions, if anyone needs more detailed information, please reach out. Talk to our salespeople. For SAP partners, for our partners we are working together with, offsite or remote training is always free of charge. If you want an on-site training with your people, we share the travel expenses with you, but there is no fees for the day we work together. Yeah, we are really happy to help you to increase and improve the business and the usage of SAP HANA with you. Dimitri, this is something Gabriela will send around for the webinar. Most likely you will find the summary of the webinar, including the presentation on our website. Okay. Then, thanks a lot for joining. And again, please reach out if you have any question. Thanks a lot.